Diane Marie Webb, who was born Diane Marie White, she was only 17 when she made a life altering choice. She decided to stay behind in California with her 16-year-old boyfriend, Bennie Milton Webb, while her family moved to Arizona in March of 1959. Diane, young and in love, well, she planned to marry Bennie despite her father's disapproval. And by May of 1959, they were indeed husband and wife. However, not long after, Diane vanished without a trace. And the questions that surround her disappearance, well, they've only deepened over the decades. For months after her marriage, Diane kept in touch with her family through letters. Her last known correspondence was sent on August the 22nd, 1959. She sent that letter to her younger sister. It contained a gift of hand-crocheted handkerchiefs. Just a seemingly ordinary gift that would take on an eerie significance. After that, well, the letters they stopped. Then, oddly enough, in 1960, Bennie wrote a letter to Diane's family asking if she was with them. This shocked Diane's parents. After all, they had assumed she was still with Bennie. So they pressed Bennie for details. He claimed he hadn't seen Diane in a long time. He stated he'd given her $100 and put her on a bus back home to her family. He later alleged that she had wrote him just once, revealing she had suffered a miscarriage, and after that, she was never heard from again. Desperate for answers, Diane's father, he traveled to Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, where Bennie's family lived. But instead of help, he was met with hostility. Now, some reports, well, they claim it was Bennie's uncle. Then other reports say it was Bennie's brother. But either way, somebody in Bennie's family was indeed the local police chief. And he allegedly threatened Diane's father, forcing him to leave town. And it just gets stranger. You see, to this day, Bennie Webb refuses to cooperate with authorities. And despite the existence of a marriage certificate, he now denies ever being married to Diane at all. Well, at his age, what does he truly remember? But more than that, why has he remained silent for so long? A chilling twist came in 1967. Skeletal remains were found in the Catalina Mountains of Arizona. Now, investigators, they initially believed they did in fact belong to Diane Webb, and her passing was ruled a suicide. That's an explanation that her family strongly rejected. Her mother felt so strongly about it that she refused to accept the remains. She insisted they did not belong to her daughter. Time passed, and in 2013, DNA testing did indeed prove her instincts to be correct. The bones, they weren't Diane's. This discovery only deepened the mystery. If those bones didn't belong to Diane, then where is she? And now let's add another layer of strangeness. Some have noted that in the late 1950s, in Truth or Consequences, well, this was also home to David Parker Ray, the infamous toy box killer, who would become known as one of America's most sadistic criminals. Now, while there's no evidence linking Ray to Diane's disappearance, The fact that a known predator was operating in the same small town during the same era has led some to speculate. Still, any connection remains purely conjecture. If Diane were alive today, she'd be in her early 80s. Her parents have since passed, but her siblings continue their search. They refuse to let Diane's memory fade. Her sister still holds on to the marriage certificate that Bennie now denies, and she fondly recalls Diane's violet hued gray eyes, her freckled nose, and the way she laughed. So, what really happened to Diane Webb? Was she a victim of foul play, possibly at the hands of someone she trusted? Did she try to start a new life elsewhere, only to meet with an unknown fate? And why did Bennie, who once claimed to love her, just stop cooperating entirely? Well over 60 years later, Diane's disappearance, it remains one of Arizona's longest running unsolved missing persons cases. One thing is for certain, her family still wants and deserves answers, and they refuse to give up the search.